Sam, thank you for what you do. We now formally reopen this Rural and Regional Transport Estimates Committee. Senator Sterle.
Thanks, Chair. I did ask just one question. Mr Carmody, I'm going to take you back a few months ago, a year ago. I'm sitting in Cunnarum at the Grand Hotel, right, enjoying the surrounds at 5:30 in the Arvo. There's Papa Bear and Baby Bear, and they're playing with the brand new toy. It's a drone, under 2 kilo, winging around the swimming pool area. So if Baby Bear had Can I Fly there, do you think he would have gone, oh my God, the Kununurra runway is less than 1 kilometre away from the hotel grounds and this thing could probably fly up to 14,000 feet? Help me out.
Senator, the rules for operating drones are clear. He should not be operating it in that location, close to the aerodrome or near people. And there are a range of other rules that apply.
So he wouldn't have done it. Magnificent. So the 50,000 ones out there, everyone will read the book. Sorry, I'm digressing. And no everything's okay.
There's no book. Don't mislead this committee.
Sorry.
It's a pamphlet.
We direct people to our website, Senator. We've instituted the rules where that information is placed in the boxes of drones that are delivered. If you get a drone from China now, it has two things. It has an Australian PowerPoint and it has a document that refers you to the drone operating rules that CASA has put in place. We have already prosecuted a number of people, and in fact, Senator, for the record, our prosecution record is per capita higher than the prosecution record of the United States for drone usage.
Do you know when smacked into a car in Adelaide 2 weeks ago, I'm told? In the windscreen. Anyway,
a drone.
So, Mr Carmody, on this issue, can I ask you, we're not supposed to ask hypotheticals, but I'm going to do that. If a drone got sucked into the turbine of a passenger jet tomorrow and we had a catastrophic failure resulting in the death of 220 people, say, what do you think CASA would recommend to the government within an hour of that?
Senator, it's again, you've pitched it as a hypothetical. We have a regulatory framework to prohibit that, Senator. We have a regulatory framework where we operate large passenger carrying aircraft, and we have a regulatory framework for drones, and we work to keep them apart. And Senator, to be fair, over the last 2 years, the statistics show that we have actually kept them apart.
Well, can I express that that's good luck rather than good management? So let me put a couple of questions to you, Mr. Carmody. How many recreational drones are in this country?
Senator, I don't know how many recreational drones are in this country.
Do you know what the estimates are?
Senator, I heard you talking about an estimate of 50,000 this morning.
You're in no position to dispute that.
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
So we went to Dorby and we took some evidence there. We spoke with a crop duster. We had our displays at the small aircraft. They've got a beautiful facility there at Dorby. As far as you could see, and my local knowledge said that for 100 kilometres in any direction, if you got on your bike and pedalled, you were in crops. And there are 2 crop duster operators there who operate between ground level and 400 feet. And there are 50 drones. 50 drones. And we know that because the retailer of the drones, a woman that specialises in agricultural drones, was there and was able to tell us. She could have told us the names of every one of them. So can you tell me can you imagine that environment? We've got 50 drones and a plane working between 100 feet and 400 feet, sharing the same airspace, early in the day, late in the afternoon, coming from different directions. You don't imagine that there could be contact between those 2 vehicles?
Senator, again, you're asking me a hypothetical question. The crop duster should be operating over the land of the person for whom he's conducting the service. I know, or she. There should not be other drones over that area unless that person is flying their own drone, because the regulations are clear. You can operate it over your own land. Senator, The question's purely hypothetical. There are lots of drones. As I said, there are 800,000 registered drones in the United States, but there have been no cases, recorded cases by the FAA of drones hitting aircraft.
I'll tell you what, Mr Carmody, I hope the day never comes. I hope the day never comes. But if it does, it'll be the longest day out you and some others have had if we have a catastrophic accident with a drone. Now, you know my history. I had 20 years investigating catastrophic accidents of international air flights all over the world. I've seen accidents happen because an individual left a screwdriver in a turbine when they went in to do some repairs. You can do all the regulations you like. It is not going to prevent an event if we get sufficient density up in the air. I asked one of the other witnesses this morning, one of the other officers, about the chicken and egg. Don't you think it would be better if we stop this proliferation until your organisation and indeed our committee and industry has a chance to collaborate and get a set of circumstances in place that we think can minimise, absolutely minimise the potential impact of this?
Senator, I think through our regulatory framework that we have in place now, we're endeavouring to do just that. The industry wants the decisions of the regulator to be consistent. It wants them to be evidence-based.
Sure.
It wants them to be predictable.
We want that too.
The evidence that I have over the last 2 years, Senator, for example, 1,800 bird strikes in 2016, 1,700 bird strikes in 2015, no reports of a drone striking an aircraft, but birds and other animals are striking aircraft. But Senator, if I may, that's evidence. I have no evidence at the moment that the regulatory framework...
Is that what you need, Mr Carmody? You need evidence? You want a drone to strike an aeroplane before you take some measures here?
You need to have evidence. You need to be able to make evidence-based decisions, Senator, rather than hypothetical decisions. The evidence that I have in the United States is very clear. I have evidence from the United States about the effect of what's happening with drones in the United States.
You have evidence from the United States of a lack of events where there's been a catastrophic collision.
Where there's been a collision, Senator, if I may, and they have a much denser air environment than we have in Australia. I'm looking at what other regulators are doing, and I think I share your concern. I understand where you're coming from. I really do.
So what harm is there in us going steady with respect to the proliferation before you finish your important work, Mr Carmody?
But
well, why? No. Look, that's a valid question. Are you more interested in the... that would be an unfair question. Do you take into account the retail sector as you make decisions about whether we should leave these things out of the air for the moment until your work is done?
No, Senator, I don't take into account the retail sector, but I do... the statement of expectations from my minister is very clear. Focus on aviation safety as the highest priority. Consider the economic and cost impact on individuals, businesses and the community in the development and finalisation of new regulations and regulatory changes, and take a pragmatic, practical and proportional approach to regulation as it applies to different industry sectors. I'm fulfilling that mandate, Senator.
Supplementary to that, you mentioned the United States as by point of comparison. In the US, do purchasers of drones have to provide any ID?
Senator, I actually don't know the answer. Somebody might. I know that they have an estimated 800,000 registered drones, but I note there's been a recent court decision on whether or not the FAA can mandate registration. But in terms of purchase, I'm afraid I don't know. I could take it on notice and find out for you.
Right. But does CASA have a view in terms of whether there ought to be, in the same way you buy a mobile phone and you need to provide some 100 points of ID before you can get a SIM card for your phone, before you can use the phone, there's no such requirement for purchasing a drone.
No, there isn't,
right?
Senator.
But it's not terribly onerous. I mean, hundreds of thousands, millions of mobile phones are sold each year, and retailers can cope with that registration. The point I'm making is that if something catastrophic does occur, there doesn't appear to be any chain of responsibility. If a drone owner knew that if they did something stupid with a drone that caused harm, there's a greater likelihood that they'll be caught for it if there's some form of identifying that drone back to the person that purchased it.
It's a decision that the government could make in terms of
Well, no, it's a decision
requiring something like that.
You could advise, though, couldn't you?
Senator, yeah, I could. Let me say, though, that the mere fact of registration might not necessarily change the outcome. Somebody would say, that wasn't my drone, or my drone was stolen, or I wasn't using my drone.
Mr. Carmody, seriously. Seriously, Mr. Carmody.
The serious matter of regulation does not resolve the problem.
Do you believe that the registration of motor vehicles, where they've got registration plates that are visible, doesn't impact on the behaviour of people, robbing banks and...
It does, Senator. I agree with you, Senator. I agree that it does. But I'm drawing my comparisons from other regulators, and as far as I know, if I use the United States comparison again, they have not entered into any, with the 800,000 registered drones, as far as I'm aware, the registration of the drone has not been used in any case for prosecution. That's just a point that...
All right. Let me put a question